Howdy Howlers, it's Sako Toomey, also known as Cass Hoyt. I write horror, and I'm a witch, and I'm a graphic designer, and sometimes I combine those three things. Today, we're talking about Backwoods Witchcraft, Conjure and Folk Magic from Appalachia, because I basically live like a hop, skip, and a jump away from Appalachia. So it felt like something I should at least be knowledgeable about. Yeah, that's what I meant. And I'll probably talk about this again when people actually show up, but good morning, Christina, my number one fan. And listen to the sounds of my parents' house at 10 in the morning. Oops. Oops. Also, Oceans of Slumber has a new video out. So if you haven't seen it, you should go see it. I saw it on Facebook, but I'm pretty sure you can see it on YouTube as well. But in like a healthy way. Yes, absolutely. Super healthy, number one fan. Absolutely. I like you very much. We are friends. You're not a stalker. And even if you were, I don't think I would be offended by it. Waiting on some more people before I start. La la la. I posted in the Discord and also my witchy group. Maybe some people that are a little more knowledgeable of saints might pop in and give their 2 cents on what this book has to say. Because I don't know saints. Aww. I am happy to have you as a friend too. Yay. And that's the thing about stalkers. It's not often you know that they're there until you do. Yeah. And usually by then they've been a stalker for quite some time. So at 11, I am I am bouncing out with my parents for an outing. I burped into my cup as I was taking a sip. That was weird. That was super weird. So, dun dun dun. Yeah, no kidding. Silver Raven Wolf gave it reviews, which doesn't fill me with confidence. Last time we talked about Moses. I guess this time we talk about Peter. I was like, what was that noise? Ha ha ha, you're adorable. Which noise? I guess my mom is brushing her teeth. Oh, the burp into my cup. Oh, yeah. The burp into my coffee. Yeah, that was awkward. Normally, I would be running Vampire right about now. However, I canceled it because I thought there was going to be a funeral this weekend, but the funeral was postponed All right, it's been 5 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and start. Would a raven be? Body of a wolf and brain of a raven, or vice versa. Either way, it would be an amazing creature. I suppose. The books that aim at teenage girls and just about everybody I know started with Silver Raven Wolf and then decided that was not their path. I was one of those. I was definitely the target audience when she released To Ride a Silver Broomstick. And then I decided that was not my path. Oh, Christina. My viewership is going up and down and up and down and up and down. Okay. Simon Peter. Peter, a former fisherman, was one of Jesus' first disciples. Peter was even freed from prison by an angel. The story goes that Herod the king arrested Peter, put him in prison, and assigned 4 squads of soldiers to keep him, intending to bring him before the people after Passover. But the church prayed for him, and one night, while Peter was sleeping, help arrived. Suddenly an angel of the Lord appeared, and a light shone in the cell. He tapped Peter on the side and woke him up, saying, "Get up quickly." And the chains fell off his wrists. "Get dressed and put on your sandals," said the angel. And Peter did so. And the angel told him, "Wrap your cloak around you and follow me." Acts 12:7-8. In the Bible, Peter is found to be gentle yet firm. He was told by Christ that he held the keys of heaven and had the power to bind things on earth and in heaven. Because of this, he can be called upon for good fishing, healing, divination in the spirit, court work, to keep the way of the law, to have thieves to return stolen goods, or to catch a criminal by praying to him to bind him on earth and in heaven. Peter, bind it, Peter, bind it, Peter, bind it. If you're not good at openly praying, recite this verse. And I will give unto thee the keys of the kingdom of heaven, and whatsoever thou shalt bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatsoever thou shalt loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. Matthew 16:19. Others may work with Peter for protection, but I never really got that feeling from scripture. He swings back and forth from one extreme to the next. He was a courageous soldier in battle who could take physical attacks well. However, he became cowardly in the face of persecution or ridicule and physical attacks from behind. Interesting, I never heard of him. My favorite book as a teen was The Blue Sword. Oh, interesting. I was never into teen books. I've always liked female empowerment and hero's journey kind of books. Yeah. I know those feels. There's a couple of authors that I read when I was young that I read and decided that it was toxic. Let's see. Where did I leave off? Since Peter keeps the gates of heaven, he is also associated with the crossroads that act as a gateway between the living and the dead. For this, he can close or open the roads before you or another. To conjure him, get a glass of red wine or whiskey as an offering with a Bible, a candle, and 2 keys. Tie these keys together with red string to make a cross. Set these out on the table, light the candle, and then make 4 knocks on the table in a cross pattern, going from top to bottom, then right to left, to open the space to him. Pray to him with your petitions or prayers. Once done, knock again 4 times in reverse, going from bottom to top, left to right, to close the way. Tell him also to close the way to guard against any haints lurking around. St. John the Baptist. The Baptist Church is based on teachings and practices of baptizing. Therefore, John the Baptist holds a special place in Southern Baptist mind, even for those who aren't religious. John represents the end goal of a life of struggle and pain in the mountains, as foretold through Isaiah. The voice of him that crieth in the wilderness, prepare ye the way of the Lord, make straight in the desert a highway for our God. In the spirit of John the Baptist, folks were baptized in rivers and creeks, just as he had done long before baptismal pools were built in churches. If you ever lose faith in God, light a white candle and go to the river. Immerse your feet in the water, sit on the bank facing east while holding the lit candle, and pray to John to help you restore your faith. This is helpful, especially when you just can't bring yourself to talk to God. In this way, you are speaking with someone who used to be human and went through trials just as you have. It makes it a little easier. For offerings, give corn, moonshine, balm of Gilead, a bud of flowering tree in the mountains used in remedies, and water. St. Jude. While most of Appalachia had... My dad is chanting louder and louder. He is eyeballs deep. While most of Appalachia has historically been Baptist or Protestant, we do have a small yet strong Catholic presence, with roots going back to the Pilgrims. However, most of this population remains up north in Upper Appalachia and has had a large influence in the development of Pennsylvania Dutch powwow, remnants of which have trickled down into the Blue Ridge Mountains and surrounding areas. Absolutely. Go ahead and hop in. I am interested in what you might say, since it's just us talking anyway. Yeah. No kidding. Some traditional Catholic saints are known everywhere here, and St. Jude, patron of lost causes and the desperate, is one of them. St. Jude candles are everywhere in grocery stores, pharmacies, and gas stations. Grocery stores sell out of them often, regardless of small Catholic population in Appalachia. Name the patron of impossibility. St. Jude is a reminder that with the Creator all things are possible, even the resolution of the most hopeless of matters, which may explain his popularity among Appalachian Americans. Although he isn't recognized with the same power or status in the Baptist Church, his presence in Moonshine Country and globally cannot be expected to have kept its influence confined around the regional folk medicines and magic of Appalachia. St. Jude is called upon for help in dire situations and to protect you from your enemies. He will never do harm to anyone, but he will confuse your enemies possibly. Yep, no, that's exactly what it says. All right. Everyone's on Kate's 5-hour stream. That makes sense. Still yet, I want to read this thing and have it in my playlist. Also, I have a guest. At least I think I have a guest. And there's a guest. Oh, I can't unmute her. Oh, okay.
Hello, friends.
Hello, friend.
Child's trying to have candy for breakfast.
Trying to have candy for breakfast, huh?
Which doesn't sound like a bad idea, in theory.
Hi, Christina.
Hello. Good morning.
Your hair is looking fabulous this morning.
Thank you. I'm trying to figure out which way my camera goes. I go this way? I go this way. I go this way. Okay, figured it out. I showered before bed and didn't brush it.
Yeah.
And the results.
And that is the result.
Oh.
All right. Oh my gosh. St. Jude is called upon for help in dire situations and to protect you from your enemies. He will never do harm to anyone, but he will confuse your enemies possibly, because St. Jude was bashed to the death in the head with a club. A consequence of this, you will want to be very specific in your prayers to him. Don't tell him you need money for bills. Give him the exact amount. He enjoys offerings of tobacco, chocolates, bread, pennies, and public thanks, such as an ad in the newspaper.
Interesting.
Right? The Madonna, who is a saint? Question mark?
I have no idea.
I don't know. A couple of years ago, we lived down the road from St. Mary's Catholic Church. It was situated in a huge piece of land occupied by wind-flowing fields and a few pine trees. You have to take a winding road going by some woods to get to the church, and along that road is a grove dedicated to the Blessed Mother with a large statue. The Mother of Christ holds importance for many people, even non-Catholics. She is included in many charms, especially those reigning from Germany that were recorded by John Hallman in The Long Lost Friend. Other times, Mary is simply used as a symbol, as in the case of this formula to ease arthritis. As Mary will not bear another child, may this body part bear no more pain. That's weird.
Yeah, my sentiments exactly.
This draws a likeness between the eternal status of Mary, no longer bearing children, and to the body doing the same, no longer bearing pain. Because that is assuming that childbirth is painful, which for some women it's not.
Yeah.
Right?
By and large, though, it's a solid assumption.
Mm-hmm.
Some women are just warriors.
Some women, like my mother, total warriors.
That's
You're
amazing.
here to the mothers. For real. It takes a warrior to be a mother. It really does.
100%.
Especially if you're mothering the child. Every day is a battle.
I second that. Toddlers. At any time, I'm sure they're horrible. I was the worst teenager. So my mom says I'm going to get that back tenfold when Bailey's a teenager, and I'm not stoked.
And what do you think that's going to happen? What if Bailey turns out to be a totally straight up kid?
True. She could be just totally chill like her dad.
I was just trying to give her the benefit of the doubt, and she's like, yeah!
What the heck was that?
The face of shame.
Hi, Bailey. Hi, Bailey.
No,
Hi, Cat Leo.
Hi, Cat.
no.
We were talking about Saints Bed. We got to the Madonna, which means motherhood. And I am taking a moment to say I honor the mothers that are in my life, to include Christina Poe. All right. Most often, the Madonna is turned to in times of childbirth with remedies and formulas that seem to stem primarily from the west of Ireland. These formulas often told stories of the Holy Family or simply dialogues between Christ and his mother. An infamous amulet used by the Irish was a Mary bean, which is, it's got the Latin name here, but I'm not going to try and pronounce it. During times of struggle, the woman would hold it in their hands while praying to the Virgin, as you were delivered of Christ, and Anna was delivered of you, as Elizabeth was delivered of John the Baptist. Deliver me of this child and let me be well. Leave her offerings of water, flowers, chocolates, and tobacco. Basically, it sounds like chocolate and tobacco and whiskey is like a good blanket offering. My mother always preferred the Virgin of Guadalupe, the most famous apparition of the Virgin from Mexico and the most common candle in our grocery store here. I've prayed to her for everything from financial issues and blessings to protection from enemies and safe travel. Basically, it sounds like the Madonna is like a blanket saint for all the things.
Sounds like motherhood.
It sounds like motherhood. So, chapter 8, casting apple seeds and spell and fortune telling. Yes or no, or is or ain't. So, formations and patterns, Samuels and Jack ball, Bales, balls, Jack balls. And then Samuel, and it's got basically 3 to 20 reprinted. It's basically a reprinting of the Bible. My mom was looking at me like, what the ever-living fuck?
What kind of smut are you kids reading?
What kind of smut are you? Well, we're gonna eat when we go out at 11. Yeah. So.
I know, but we're going to stop it now.
Okay. Less about her reaction to the Bible and more about her wanting to cease the stomach pain of hunger.
I love that.
That's my mom.
I'm hungry. Let's not talk about the Bible.
Exactly.
I like your mom already.
My mom was very young when she decided that she didn't like the church. Her family is Lutheran, German Lutheran, and she had questions about the Bible that nobody would answer. So she left the Bible behind because it didn't make sense to her.
Same. I was about the same way.
Yeah.
My mom took us to church. I didn't understand half of it. No one would help me to understand. And I'm like, well, I'm sure I'll find something else.
I'm sure I'll find something. And look at the things that you're finding. Well, this is like a bridge to gap, right? For those who come from a Christian background, like, I think this is an easier transition than like outright going to Tempest with her chaos magic. Which I said her name a million times, and I can only remember the Tempest part because that's her dance name.
I relate to things through music a lot easier as well.
Yeah.
Bro.
Whoa.
We don't do that.
Bro. You want to talk for a bit?
Nope.
What do you think? What do you think about your mama?
She definitely doesn't want to
Flop? Epic flop? Epic flop. Hi, Bailey. You look sleepy. Are you sleepy? Yeah, kind of. Only sort of. I'm gathering the I am tired and I don't want to be tired.
She stays tired and not wanting to be tired.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll put you down.
Sounds like me.
You're Bailey.
I didn't nap when I was young, and now I nap constantly.
Bailey Allison, stop.
Ooh. I do declare.
Clutch my pearls, I do declare.
I do declare.
She doesn't know what she wants. I'm just gonna mute and nod.
Okay. All right. The mind of the mountaineer was filled with fear of the unknown in their new homeland in the mountains. This fear, coupled with a strong faith, furthered the progression of the superstition in Appalachia, whether carried over from the old world or simply coined up. The granny witches and power doctors, often the only medical help available within a day's travel, held to a tradition of, this is the longest sentence ever. God damn. Okay, let me try this again. The granny witches and power doctors, often the only medical help available within days of travel, held to a tradition of discerning God's will by following signs and listening to the spirit. That could have been split up into 3 sentences.
Is there at least a colon or a semicolon somewhere?
There are parentheses.
I write like that too, in like a social setting, but if I was writing, I don't know if other people are reading it.
If other people were reading it, yeah.
I probably wouldn't, but I'm like the run-on sentence queen though, so.
I used to be. Well, it wasn't a run-on sentence, but I had like a formula for a sentence, and it just made my sentences a little too long without needing to be. So editing phase was yeah. Oh my goodness. All right. We've seen previously how the formation of roots, star signs, and weather can foretell fate. But divination has deeper and more complex roots in these hills than those already covered. Fortunes of work and love, The identity of a husband's mistress, a thief, or an enemy can be found out. Back in the day, gypsies would, I hate that word, would often, the G word, would often travel up and down the mountain range. Some of them were from okay, so it says some of them were from the usual places such as Italy or Hungary, while others from Scotland or Britain. They mean nomads, not the G word. They mean nomads. Some historical root workers in Appalachia did use crystal balls, with one example being Ed McTeer of South Carolina. He was a sheriff who first got into the work in order to understand certain cases more. These cases included the famous Dr. Buzzard, one of the most renowned hoodoos in North American history. Aside from the usual long layouts of cards and crystal gazing, Appalachian divination methods primarily follow probability like yes or no. These are at the bottom of the divination pool since they are the simplest methods found. Which is probably why tarot is like a no yes or no question sort of divination, because there are so many divinations that are yes or no. Oh, like the egg thing, like this mentions the egg thing, which is dumb because, okay, so I'll read this and then I'll tell you what I know of the whole thing. Okay, in chapter 2, I mentioned using an egg to determine if a woman is with child. For this, a fresh egg is rubbed counterclockwise over the woman's womb, right beneath the navel. The Lord's Prayer is recited, ending with a prayer like, Lord, you give dreams and visions of righteousness for your name. Show me how it is here. The woman then blows on the egg, and it is dropped into a clear glass of water and then read. If it sinks to the bottom of the glass, she is heavy with child. If it floats, she isn't pregnant. Oftentimes, this will predict a pregnancy. If the woman is not pregnant at the moment, but the egg still sinks, the woman will likely become pregnant within 6 months. Okay, so
that's not how
science. That's not how eggs work exactly. So science decrees that if an egg is bad, it will float because the gas is inside.
I believe so, yeah.
And if it's a good egg, then it will sink. Right? So that's so super weird.
I've never tried to float eggs, so I boil eggs and they're almost always the ones that sink, so I guess they're good, but I've never seen a floating egg. And I've only been pregnant once.
Well, honestly, that just means that you get through your eggs before they go bad.
Oh, huzzah! Good morning, Nicole. I'm glad to hear you're feeling better today.
I'm glad that you are ready to take on the day. If you are interested in sprints and stuff, Kate is doing a 5-hour sprint, or a 5-hour stream rather. So there is that if you are ready to conquer word count things. Playing cards can also be used for this. Shuffle it up 2 times and draw 3 cards. The black suits mean no, and the red suits mean yes, as the probability is determined by the suit of 2 out of the 3 cards. Okay. You can also utilize the scattering forms of divination, which entail tossing sunflower or apple seeds on a handkerchief after whispering your question into them. If the seeds are evenly spaced after landing, it means yes. If it lands in groups or clods, it is a no.
I'm not sure I follow that. Is it like a...
You take, okay, so if I get this right, you take a handful of nuts, you whisper your thing into them, and then you throw them into a handkerchief, and if they are grouped together, which means if there is a lot of moisture from your mouth when you whisper into it, then they would clump together because moisture, right?
Oh, okay. I mean, that makes more sense than what I was thinking.
But so that is another sciencey thing that debunks the thing. Oh, also Austin K is doing a stream right now. Don't know when it started though, because I'm on my phone. Right on. I love Austin K. She does stretches and stuff like that, which maybe we'll do some stretches too, because oh my gosh, there's a long day ahead of us. A lot of us are writing today, like super writing.
It's a good idea, always. Even if you're not writing for the day.
Even if
Stretching is always a good idea.
stretching is always good. Oh, crack, pop. Formations and patterns. Another method called for placing something in a particular place or environment and interpreting letters or signs formed. Oh, so like tussiography and you can do tussiography with both coffee and tea. Like reading tea leaves out of a coffee cup sort of situation.
Oh, gotcha.
But I hear that reading coffee grounds, like if you do cowboy coffee or you do a French press or something like that, let's see. This is usually done with corn kernels that are thrown in a circle, drawn into the dirt, and the resulting patterns are meditated to find them, letters, shapes, or other patterns. Reading coffee grounds is also included in this. Oh, so ready to talk about it. A cup of coffee is drunk into the last sip, at which point a teaspoon of coffee grounds is added to the cup. Breathe 3 times into the cup and cover it with a saucer. Then pass the cup and saucer over the head in a circle 3 times and quickly turn it upside down so the mouth of the cup rests on the plate. Once all the liquid has drained, read the grounds inside the cup. An X shows the blockage. Yeah. The 2 parallel trails of dots means a busy or tough path. The shape of a dog means death or a skull. It depends on who's reading it, really. A heart is someone you love, and so on. Here's a formula I use to find someone out. A future love, a thief, or an enemy. Set out a large basin of water, enough to hold about a gallon. Take 7, 13, or 21 toothpicks. Why the 3 numbers? That seems arbitrary.
They're not even like consecutive numbers. I don't like that. I mean, I get going by sevens, but 13.
13. The number of toothpicks you use is individual taste. However, the number is traditionally odd. Ah.
Oh, okay.
7 is associated with fortune and luck. 13 is famous for its connection to witchcraft. 21 has never been explained to me. It is simply a number I was taught it had importance. So I use it and it works. Okay. Once all the toothpicks are in the water, cover it with a white towel and raise one end just enough to whisper into it. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, tell me what I wish to see. You tell of all things in righteousness and by your word have proclaimed anything asked in your name will be done. So tell me, insert prayer here. Then blow 3 times on the surface of the water. Leave the pot by the bed, and in the morning the toothpicks will have formed the person's initials. You can practice this on a smaller scale using 7 toothpicks and a white porcelain bowl of water left by the bed while you sleep.
Interesting.
Interesting indeed.
Gonna have to try that. See what's up.
See what's up. Martha.
Also, Jace, I was thinking the same thing when she said that.
Jace.
Good morning.
There's often a moisture when I whisper than
Right? You broke me for a bit there.
Stripping is just important in general. I agree. Jace. Yes. Lol. Good to see you, Jace.
Indeed.
Samuels and Jack balls. A Samuel is a weighted bag of Cheerios suspended on a red cord whose movements are interpreted to see things backstage about a situation. It's basically an old country pendulum crafted from roots and red flannel. It's called a Samuel, to my knowledge, because of the witch calling Samuel's spirit up for Saul in the Bible. And then it quotes the Bible for 3 pages. The spirit the Bible identifies as Samuel told no lie, for everything came to pass. Further examining the use of this charm, we can also connect the birth and naming of Samuel. And then it quotes the Bible some more. Samuel was also a just judge and anointed king such as David. Samuel told the truth of God handing over Israel and of Saul's death when he was called up through a medium, one of the most forbidden acts named by Scripture. Really? So being a medium was apparently most forbidden to Catholics/Christians.
That sounds about right. Makes a lot of sense.
That is spooky. They don't like spooky things, I guess.
But they talk about spirits and dead people and hell a lot. But spoopy, that's off limits. None of that.
So what's the difference between working with spirits and being a medium?
That's, yeah, good question.
Right?
Bible stuff, more Bible, and Bible again. Indeed.
Exactly. There's just tons of, it's just reprintings of the Bible. The whole Samuel thing is reprinted. Because of this, it's said that your Samuel cannot lie and must always tell the way things are or will be, and your Samuel will not work for other people. The name Samuel also meant the name is God, or God is lifted up, further adding to its power and roots in Scripture. Another name was a jackball, or simply Jack. You can name it anything you want, but Samuel is what my family calls it. To make a Samuel, bring a 4-inch by 4-inch piece of white cloth or red flannel to a Sunday church sermon and lay it open on your lap during the service. Then lay the cloth on a table and place a pinch of salt and tobacco in the center of the fabric. 2 roots are used in this Samuel. One thin root of bearded iris that ran east, and one root of mayapple that ran south, each one cut fresh to the length of your thumbs. Bind these with twine to form a cross and lay them over the salt and tobacco. You never mentioned salt. Yes, I guess you did. Place a stone from a churchyard over that. Knot a piece of red yarn 13 inches in length 3 times over to make a larger knot, and then tuck it into the center hole. Gather the 4 corners of the fabric and tie a knot tight with another piece of red yarn. If you like, a simpler Samuel can be made without the roots. When you have your Samuel, call out to it saying something like, "Samuel, Samuel, wake up now, in the name of God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. You're going to tell me what's right and how things are. You are only tied to me under the Most High and will tell his word on things, anything I want to know." To work it, hold it still by the end of the yarn, always call it by its name, saying something like, "All right now, Samuel, tell me, is there somebody working trouble for me? Are they shooting or conjuring me?" If it trembles or seems to shake or jump, trouble is coming. If it waves from left to right or stands still, that means no. If it swings to and fro or in circles, it means yes. Oh, that's weird. Samuel is only 4 inches. That's a pity.
We don't body shame here, Jace.
If it yeah, okay. So if it simply remains in the same place and turns and spins, it means there's more to the situation than you know, or you've not asked the right question. The Samuel will only tell you the truth and direct answers, so word your questions carefully. Other pendulum devices and dowsing, which is cool. Like the whole water witch thing always fascinated me. And apparently that's a big thing in Appalachian folk magic, is dowsing, is water witching. One of the most famous Southern tricks using a pendulum is determining if a woman is pregnant and what the child's sex will be. My great-grandmother used to do that, but she did it just by looking at a woman and being able to tell if she was pregnant and what sex the kid would be. Supposedly. So that is how the legend goes anyway.
That's incredible. I want to know her accuracy rating.
I know, right? Like, which is why I think that like divination runs in my family, because she was really good at that sort of thing. And I don't know if my grandmother did any of that. My mother, like, she kind of dabbled with it, but she didn't go into it very specifically. And then I went eyeballs deep. As recent as two generations ago, water witches were well known, and it was customary for one to help you find underground water in order to dig a well, or even to help find lost items, treasure, or people. Another long-ass sentence. My great-great-grandfather Oscar was a water witch. A forked stick from a willow, cherry, pear, hazel, or hickory tree was used, held by two prongs outward, fists down, with one stroke pointing up and one toward the sky. With one stroke pointed up toward the sky. The specific type of wood used was solely up to the family. That's interesting. That's not... So one hand down. No, both fists are down. But this, with one stroke pointed up towards the sky. Okay, so I think I understand what they're saying. I had to like read it like 4 times to understand what the hell he was saying. Let's see. Dowsing rods were always taken from a branch pointing to the east during the full moon, so that's the time all water is being pulled on, and it would likely help the stick be pulled to the water source. The prongs are pulled apart and kept at just the right tension before snapping. Held like this, the dowser marks where they began and begins to walk in various directions. As they approach water underground, the stick will begin to bob or wiggle as soon as they make it to the full source, the place to dig the well. It will point straight out or jump down. According to my Nana, Papa Oscar would take the measurement between the place he started and where he found the source, And that would be how far down you'd need to dig to get through the water. And then we go into playing cards, which I assume is their way of doing tarot. Yeah, it's their way of doing tarot. Oh, but it's very different. Very different. Interesting. From a very young age, I remember my family using playing cards from the dollar store for games like rummy, roulette, spades, and solitaire. As one of the most used forms of divination, playing cards have a long line of tradition in the Appalachia. Each number and suit is related to an event or person. They are read in multiple ways, just like tarot cards, and some families have their own spreads and ways of cutting the cards. My mother is the one who taught me how to use playing cards for divination. I vaguely remember sitting in the kitchen with her. The only light was the stove, and all the windows and doors that summer opened that summer night to let the heat and cigarette smoke out. Bleh. She'd flip the cards out on the counter and tell me whatever was about to happen. I still use the deck she taught me on. I will go over the simplest way she taught me to read the cards for a general overview of how things are in your life. You need a new deck of cards reserved only for reading. It's important to keep the reading cards and the game cards separate. Same with tarot. There are, if you start divining with a deck, then like keep divining with that deck, and if you use the deck for something else, then always use it for that something else. It's like just determine its purpose, and like, so I have decks that are specific for storytelling. I have decks that are specifically just to look good. I have decks that I actually use to divine with.
And I collect rocks.
Rocks are awesome. I also collect rocks. Rocks
I'm
are
gonna have to show you my rock collection one of these days in the Discord, because there's a lot of them.
awesome. Hi, cat flies. Oh, hi, Chandra.
Hi.
It's good to see you guys. I'm just about to wrap up. And I'm not doing writing sprint right now. I'm doing a reading of Backwoods Witchcraft. And we're talking about divination, apparently. Shuffle the deck 3 times, then knock on the top 3 times. Part the cards into 2 stacks and then hold them in your mouth and breathe on them.
There's a lot of breathing on things in
Then shuffle the deck again. Starting from the top of the deck, flip each card over so it's face up. When you get to 2 of the same cards in a row, set those aside and keep them in order in the order they came up. Keep doing this until you reach the last card. Then turn to the doubles you have gathered and interpret them as follows.
If you're going through the whole deck, wouldn't they all be doubles? Or are we going through?
That's my thought too. Hold on. Maybe I'm misreading that.
Maybe we missed something.
Yeah. When you get 2 of the same card in a row. Oh, in a row. Okay. Then turn to the doubles you've gathered. Okay.
That makes
But
sense.
the meanings are wildly different from tarot. Gazing. But I guess we'll talk about gazing tomorrow. Thank you for joining me for Backwoods Witchcraft. Yay, hi. How's it going? Kate Kavanaugh is doing her 5-hour stream. I believe Austin K is also doing one of her streams, which are wonderful, super wonderful. I strongly recommend seeing Austin K. Last name Kaye. She does great stretches. She plays spa music. It's a very chill, relaxed time. And she's also a gothy bitch like me.
Ew.
Yeah. Yeah, she's great. And I will talk to you guys on the flip side.
Bye.